Good morning, Spartan Nation. Mike Cromer here, joined with head coach Ray Howard, who, of course, is retiring after 29 years with the Francis Howell School District. First off, Coach, very nice to see you. Thanks for taking some time this morning.
Good to see you, Mike.
Coach, here we are at the end of your teaching and coaching career, doing an interview. About 29 years ago, you walked into a Francis Howell School building for the very first time to do an interview, to get a job. Do you remember what that experience was like?
A little bit. I'm sure I was a little bit nervous when I had that first interview, trying to get a career started after all the school and college and that. So I'm sure it's a little bit nerve-wracking for anybody. But
Coach, before your coaching days and before your teaching days, you were drafted and played one season in the Cleveland Indians organization. How was that?
well, I wouldn't trade it. I mean, it was a great experience. I wish I could have lasted a little longer. I physically wasn't ready, probably. I probably had skill level, but physically I wasn't ready. So I played one season, got released, and then went over to Italy and played a season over in Italy. And I wouldn't trade that either. That was experience.
Going into your teaching and coaching career, one experience that I can relate to on the elementary level is having my two kids go through Central Elementary while I have been a teacher there. You've had your two daughters, Mindy and Shannon, and then of course in between Ryan going to Central. How was the experience of having all three kids there, and of course getting to coach Ryan all that time?
Well, I really enjoyed it, actually. There's pros and cons to that. Obviously, and my kids will tell you that sometimes it wasn't the best, but they'll also tell you, I think, that they were glad that that's the way it worked out also. So I wouldn't trade it. I mean, um, we really enjoyed. I enjoyed being able to see them interact at school and play sports and we'd ride home together a lot of times after practices and stuff like that. So we have a lot of good stories as a family, actually, that came from some of those rides home.
Absolutely. And of course, mentioning Ryan, after Howell Central, he goes to Mizzou, and then in the San Francisco Giants organization. How has that experience being able to follow Ryan's career at this point?
Well, that's the same way. It's enjoyable sometimes, and sometimes it's nerve-wracking. My wife and I tune in and watch the games and video stream, and yeah, we're excited about it, but yet we're nervous for him to do well. But again, it's something we wouldn't trade. We've enjoyed it, an awful lot, and it's worked out pretty well. It's been a great experience for everybody.
I have a 13-year-old son, and he will come up to the high school with me for a lot of the games that I'm announcing. During the off season, I'll see Ryan up there, and you're throwing batting practice to him. Never gets old playing ball with your son, does it?
No, it's just something that we've always done since he was big enough to grab a ball and throw a ball. We've always did that, and that's kind of our time together. And yeah, we both enjoy it. We just do it as much as we possibly can.
During your coaching career, you were able to start up an entire program from scratch at Howell Central. What was that entire experience like?
The only thing I can really remember, I remember when the school opened up, and I was going to apply for the position, and I was excited. I was, hoping to get the position because I felt that I was qualified to do that, and I just wanted to see, I wanted to experience that and to be that head coach and get a chance to work with the players, and it turned out it was just about everything I imagined it to be.
And in a very short amount of time, in fact, just the second season, you take the team to the state semifinals and end up taking third place. That was a feat duplicated in 2007. What were those state runs like, those experiences?
They're kind of a blur when you're going through them, actually. But looking back at it, I mean, you look at the players that we had and the coaches and the whole experience, and then culminates at the end, in the state tournament. It's pretty special. I mean, we had a blast, and when you look back at it, and then you see the guys, everyone run into the guys once in a while, or you have memories of the coaches, and you talk about the things that happened. It was really special. Yeah.
Let's say for
Everybody should
a
get.
moment, that a
Sure.
college has given you the job of teaching a class called Baseball Coaching 101. What are some of the biggest lessons that you would impart after all these years to someone who is following in your footsteps as a baseball coach?
Maybe not to do it exactly the way I did it. I don't know. Uh, I think you have to love the game first of all. We don't do it for the money. We do it because we love it. And most all coaches are former players, and I guess the next best thing to actually playing is coaching. Get the most reward out of it. So uh, you have to take every team different. I mean, I look back at the different teams, and some teams, we had some power. Some teams we had speed. uh, the attitudes you got to take into consideration. There's so much more that goes into coaching that a lot of people don't realize. That you have to account for and be able to adjust for what type of team you have.
Was there a particular moment in the past year when you decided, all right, it's time to call it a career?
No, I had a pretty good idea probably in the last leading up to the last 2 or 3 years. As teachers get close to the end of the retirement, they know how many years they're shooting for, and coaching was basically the same thing. But it gets there pretty darn quick. It gets there quicker than you realize. But I'd already made a decision, and you look back and say, "Boy, there's some nice players coming up through the system. Maybe I should stay on for a while," but you can't do that. That always happens. We've been lucky enough to have some really good players in House Central.
In the amount of time, nearly 30 years now, not only with the district, but then 20 years as the varsity coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. You started out as an assistant out at Francis Howell. How has the game changed? How have players changed?
I don't think the game has changed as much at our level. I would say maybe the players the players have changed a lot because Little League. Uh, you have these programs that are coming through, and you play, and supposedly at the top at your level. Back when I first started, we only had, like, the prospects, the gamers, the pirates, and they were the three elite ones. Well, now we have supposedly elite all over the place. So I think the competition's a little watered down actually in the summertime. So it's a good thing. More kids get a chance to play probably, but I don't know. It's a good thing all the way around because players that are not playing get the top competition, so they don't know exactly where they stand when they come in. When you play in our conference, you're playing against some really good players.
And
So
you bring up a great point, the GAC baseball conference. And I always look at St. Charles County as a whole as being such a strong county for baseball. I think a part of that has to do with we're in the suburbs of St. Louis with the Cardinals, but every single year you can count on somebody from the county making a deep run into the playoffs. I mean, you guys have obviously Tony Perkins has had his success out at Francis Howell. I know Keith DeShirley, while he was at Zumwalt South, won a title out there. Zumwalt West recently playing for the the Class 5 state championship. Such a great county for baseball, isn't it?
sure is. I mean, it's tough. In fact, if you get out of districts, you got a good chance of going to the Final Four. I mean, so that just shows you how tough our conference was, and it's kind of moving west. I mean, our conference is still going to be good for a number of years, and further you go west, I think they're getting stronger out there that way also too.
Absolutely. Coach, I believe it was last week, Scott Harris, the activities director at Howell Central, released a video of former players and coaches wishing you well. What did that video mean to you?
Well, I was kind of surprised by it, but it was cool. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was, you get choked up a little bit when you see former guys that you haven't seen in a long time, and then they show up. They take the time to do that and send that out. They didn't have to do that, so it was cool.
You've talked a little bit about this, when you run into former players and former coaches, talking about, making those state runs, but I know this applies to every team and students that you've had. a lot of it uh, has to do with relationships, right, Coach?
Oh yeah, for sure. You build a lot of relationships when obviously when you spend that much time with your players and your coaches, and that's kind of the cool thing of the whole thing. Baseball's kind of second, actually. You want to win, and that's our goal, but the relationships are something that are really special.
And one of the neat things that I always observe as a fan in announcing, and I mentioned some other coaches here, the relationships that you guys as coaches have, as the varsity coaches, and it's a special fraternity, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well, we compete against each other, but we also respect each other. And there's been some coaches, great coach. There still is, and there's been some great coaches that came through our conference. And I can honestly say that every coach out there is really really putting their doing the best they can and working hard. And when you come out to play anybody in our conference, you better be ready to play because they'll get you, if you're not on top of your game. That's why I always tell the guys, said, hey, you have to be ready to go every day. And as a coach, it's kind of funny because you can sense a lot of times when your team is not there that day, they're not ready. Even warm-ups, sometimes you can sense it. And a lot of times that plays out during a game. So you do, as a coach, that's another thing that you got to make sure your guys are ready to go mentally, play the game. It's just not physical. Mental's so big.
You're officially retiring as the head baseball coach at Howell Central, as well as from teaching. Do we see Ray Howard on a baseball field anywhere in the near time future?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that too much. I'm sure I'll be around because I just love to watch the game. So I'm sure that I'll be somewhere catching some games, and I'll be there.
I know that's at the top of my list as this society starts to open back up. Want to go see a baseball game? I don't care if it's a t-ball game down the road. Just want to see something related to baseball.
Oh, I know. We've been watching. Ryan and I've been watching old ESPN games, on there. So just we can watch some baseball. So
Have you caught? I think it's on FS1, one of the Fox Sports channels. They've had old episodes of This Week in Baseball on.
no, I haven't. That used to be my favorite show.
Oh,
Get up
absolutely, Mel Allen.
early Saturday mornings.
That's how we, when we were younger, got to see highlights from across both the American and National Leagues. That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was highlight of my day. I think it was a Saturday morning.
Yep,
Every Saturday morning, I have to watch that. Yeah.
absolutely, Coach. Coach, is there
So
anything
yeah,
else?
definitely tune into that.
Yeah. Coach, is there anything else you wanted to bring up this morning before I let you go?
Oh, not really. Just don't like to thank my former players and coaches that I've coached with, and Scott Harris for doing so much. When he didn't have to either. So, and thank you, Mike. Gonna miss you out there on the next to the fence.
I've had a lot of fun doing it. Best of luck to you, your wife, and your three kids. It was a short amount of time that ended up announcing for your teams the past few seasons, but definitely enjoyed it. So best of luck to you, Coach.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate it.